Boker Tov, good morning. Today is Friday, July 29th, Erev Shabbat Parshat, double Parsha, Matot Mas'eh. In Israel, they're just reading Mas'eh. They've been ahead of us since Pesach time. And finally, we're catching up to Israel with our double portion tomorrow. And from here forward, we'll be in line with the reading in Israel. What do we have in the second parsha, Mas'eh, that we read? The Torah lays out for us the whole series of journeys and encampments of the children of Israel, and brings you from Mitzrayim, from Egypt, right to the banks of the Jordan River. As they do so, Rashi says part of the reason why the Torah does this is to show you God's chesed, God's kindnesses to us, because even though we're going to meet a lot of journeying, we should know that most of the time we actually weren't schlepping. We were able to stay put. The majority of the years we're in just a few locations, and so it wasn't endless movement, but we were able to be somewhat anchored. That's how Rashi looks at this, and we're supposed to feel God's chesed. I want to share a different perspective, and maybe to do so, just to listen to the trope as we read tomorrow. And what's interesting, by the way, because it's double parsha, the first section of Mas'eh, chapter Lamed Gimel 33, is read, pretty much all together. Most of it's read in one aliyah, not broken up into two. So I'm going to cross over the end of Rishon to Sheni because it's the fourth aliyah. Don't get confused, okay? Just listen to the trup. First, we start with what is standard trup. Vayisu mimara vayavo elima uve'elim shtem esrei einot ma'ayim v'shivim tamarim vayachanu sham. So far, so good. Vayisu me'elim vayachanu al yam suf. Vayisu miyam suf vayachanu b'midbar sin. Vayisu b'midbar sin vayachanu b'dofka. Vayisu midofka vayachanu be'alush. Vayisu me'alush vayachanu be'rid fridim. V'lo yashamayim la'am nishtot, etc., etc. We just break through the usual pattern when we have this tone. What's this tone about? I actually try to think about it once as if it were one of those movies when they want to give you a sense of the forward movement. They'd have this locomotive, steam engine locomotive, whatever, whether it was steam or now high-powered engine, pushing forward. And so you're supposed to keep on going, right? What's conveyed by that? So partially it's just a literary device, right? We need to get from you, if this this book was referred to as Sefer B'Midbar, the Sefer of the wilderness, the book of the wilderness, we want you to know it wasn't just all about being in the wilderness, it's about getting from point A to point Z. Point A is Egypt, point Z is Israel, and so now we took you through all the steps up to being on the banks of the Jordan River, all right, ready to cross over, and that's how we'll leave things at the end of Sefer Bamidbar. More, and here I actually want to reference a teaching, an insight shared by Rabbi David Meshaloff. Well, I've never met personally, but I actually met him once. But I've met him online over the years in rabbinic back and forth. He lives in Israel, and he says the following: the Torah calls on us to value the journey itself, not the resting spots, as Rashi kind of had us focus, right? Not the resting spots, the stations, the accomplishments alone are important. They are important. All the resting spots, the stations, right? The accomplishments, of course, they're important. Rather, the journeys, the processes, the efforts, the path that we have created. Our lives are dynamic. I felt this was such an important insight, and one that we should always be mindful of, my friends. Whatever it is that we are aware of in our lives, and hopefully we know we can identify some of the highlights of our experiences that we have, and key points, and hopefully lots of them are there. Weddings and graduations and accomplishments of all kinds that we that we note, and relationships that are created, they're all so important. There's one, my wife is calling me, that's one relationship. I'll call her back. The moments when we create those relationships are key points in time or achievements. That's all really good. But we shouldn't just see the rest of it as being the connective tissue between the events, the important stations that we arrive at. We just kind of fall asleep for the journey till we get to the next place, or just like deaden ourselves as we go on the journey. That would be a shame. That would be a shame. It would be squandered 99% of our life, which is the journeying between key highlighted points. And perhaps what is conveyed to us here is this message, folks. Make your journey, every element of your journey be something which is of meaning to you, which can be filled with joy also, which you draw from and you invest in, and just change a mindset that I'm just like dragging myself through these things, but rather I'm living in this and accomplishing. And there's another goal, but it's this part of my life which is the majority of it, and I should fill it with all the energy and focus and appreciation of what it means as I go through each and every day. My friends, let each of your journeys, all of your journey of life, be felt that way. Work on this. It's important and worth it to you. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Take care.